Welcome to Film Family, and today we're gonna be reviewing Shaft. So, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think we all like this movie. It was extremely funny. It was very suave. It was very cool. Samuel Jackson was great in it. And I think this is a movie that it really does show me that even with a formulaic plot and kind of script, you could still have a great movie. I think the script for this movie was very funny. It was very sharp. I think it was a pretty well directed movie, and I think like Samuel Jackson just. He knew what he was doing. He knew exactly how to do it. It's one of the reasons why, even at his older age, Samuel Jackson still stays relevant in Hollywood. He still gets roles. It's because he's charismatic and he speaks with a lot of he knows what he's doing. He has gravitas and he kind of owns the scene when he's in it. And I thought his son actually did a very good job too. I thought he was kind of like the straight man of the comedy.
The son in the movie.
Yeah, JJ.
Yeah.
I thought he was kind of the straight man of the comedy. He provided the seriousness and there's a lot of jokes between them that Samuel Jackson doesn't think he's a real man, and I just thought it was very well done and a very funny movie.
I'm not knocking Samuel Jackson, but I do think that this role was perfect for Samuel Jackson. I just feel,
I think it's a good
but when you're talking about how he really demonstrated a lot of his acting prowess, he does have a lot of acting prowess. But this was, I think, one of the best roles. I really enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed Samuel Jackson in it. The son, not so much. I felt like it was kind of that corny humor that I wasn't really happy about.
The humor was that he's like corny and kind of
but it was almost forced. Cool. Like it was
I thought it was funny. Like there's a couple lines in this movie where he's and obviously this movie has some humor that's related to race and stuff. And his son goes if I have a good credit score and a couple other things, that doesn't mean I'm black. And his dad said yeah. And I thought I don't know if I agree with that or anything, but I did think that the movie was trying to show you something about the different kind of mindsets that older and younger people have.
I definitely agree with that.
His dad's very politically incorrect while his son's trying to be very politically corrected.
I kind of like that, though. It was refreshing in a way that he was saying things that were so politically incorrect, but the audience was laughing.
Yeah, I think it's because they haven't seen something like this in a while. Movies have tried to be more politically corrected. All respect to all people, but I think that comedy is it should be what it is. If your comedy works and it has to involve something that's kind of a racy topic, but you do it right, it's going to be a funny, topic that you do. And I think that Samuel Jackson and the people who do this movie do that. They couldn't make it not politically incorrect and have the humor work because John Shaft is old fashioned and he's still kind of living in the 80s and 70s as even his wife says. And so that's obviously something that is a big plot point of this movie, that he's old fashioned, his son is new fashioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Directed by Tim Story. I thought it was really well done. I wasn't expecting much at all. I saw the trailer. I didn't want to see this movie, but I knew that we would have to review it. But I actually really loved this movie. It really surprised me how much I liked it, and all I could think about was my dad needs to see this movie. I mean, this was a movie built for my dad. Mm-hmm. The humor, the jokes. I could hear my dad laughing out loud. No, I kid you not. I could hear my dad laughing out loud at the humor. This is one that I'll recommend for him.
Definitely.
I really like the opening of this movie and how it showed the progression through the years and how he sent gifts, so they were always inappropriate. Mm-hmm. But also I like how they show each, of those years had major events happen, and, John Shaft kind of lived through that. And I really liked that. That was pretty creative. But also something I liked a lot about this movie was the soundtrack. I liked that they didn't go modern.
Fire! The soundtrack was fantastic.
All right,
loved it.
Yes,
scared me.
I like that. I like that they didn't go for something that they're trying to kind of redo something and reinvent it for the modern times. They went with this soul, funky jazz kind of score, and it was straight out the kind of the 70s era with the afros and the whole cool thing. And I know some people nowadays, this movie's gonna anger some people. I even turned to Taj in the movie, and there's this one scene, and I just looked at Taj. I was like, this movie's gonna get so many people mad. But I think this movie knows that, and it doesn't care. It still says, I'm gonna make my jokes, and I'm gonna be funny. And it pays off because you have a really sharply written script, and also great deliveries from the actors. I love the soundtrack of this movie. It was very groovy and very jazzy.
Fantastic.
And,
I actually went on Spotify and looked at it after. Yeah. It has a lot of music that was originals for this album and a lot that was brought in. Yeah. So I like how they brought in Ain't No Love in the Heart of City. I love that song. They brought in Get Up Off That Thing by James Brown, but they also wrote a lot of the score behind it.
I like when movie soundtracks do that, and I thought this movie, because for me the difference between a score and a soundtrack is that soundtracks have songs, but also I think scores are usually more orchestral. This movie has very much, it's less orchestral and more of kind of classic jazz instruments. And, I thought that besides the soundtrack, I just thought the vibe of the movie, it really was cool. Like, Samuel Jackson enters the room and it's suave, and he's smooth, very smooth, and he's just a cool dude. And I think there's so many great scenes. One of my favorite scenes was when he went to where his wife or his previous wife is having dinner with that one guy, and he's just at the place just embarrassing her, and he's like you still can't stop liking Shaft, and like then his son's at the dinner with the girl, and then the people attacking. He's like turns out to be really good with a gun. I just thought those small things, and some of the things that the dichotomy between the two characters is very entertaining to watch. And I did think that Samuel Jackson, like we all said, he did a great job in this role.
I think that goes to show you, because I think in a way, it wasn't. When I say it wasn't the best script, I mean in terms of like the plot wasn't the best plot. It was
pretty basic plot.
Yeah, pretty basic plot. But because the characters were so intriguing and the scenarios were so intriguing, you'd follow them anywhere. And that's the thing. I mean, you'd watch them anywhere, and that was the thing. Like the movie could have gone anywhere, and I would have watched it.
Well, I think too, some of the camera like transitioning shots that they do in this movie, they'll kind of like start in a location and then like this little frame, and then it like kind of moves to the next frame, like from that frame, which most movies don't do. They just directly cut to the next frame. But this movie, like in the scenes where somebody's driving or it's a transition to the next scene, it'll kind of do this cool little almost comic booky edit that I thought was pretty neat. It was pretty entertaining. But also something I really liked was just the fact that they really they weren't afraid to try something in this movie. And not that the movie's extremely original in its script, but I think in the way that the movie it really does, like we said, it kind of says that it tells its audience, like, we're not going to abide by the rules that most movies do nowadays. And I think that risk, like we said, it pays off.
I also really liked when they got the grandpa involved, and they had the three Shafts all wearing the same thing with the turtlenecks and the trench coat.
Shaft.
Just cool.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. And then I really liked the back and forth they had, the dialogues. Yeah. I felt like they were able to bounce off of each other. Really nice.
Did you guys like the action scenes?
I did.
Yeah.
I thought they were pretty well filmed. I think my favorite one still might be the first, where he goes in the house looking for Manny, and he has the shotgun. And he's right through it. He just shoots the truck, and it like drives in front of the guy, just hits him. I thought that was pretty funny. Again, he was just cool. He's breaking guys' hands. He's like, he broke my hands. Like, that's 2 fingers.
I like when the cop said, anything you want to tell me about this situation here? He said, nope. But my son needs to book a flight on your computer.
Yeah, and I like too, like that. I think the movie's not trying to say any deep messages, but I do think a good message.
It was an entertaining movie. Yeah. It was fun. If you want to go have a good time, go watch it.
But more of that, I think you can get a funny message that the movie is kind of saying that like everybody could use a little old fashioned, and everybody who's old fashioned could use a little modern, contemporary knowledge. I thought that was kind of cool, because I like when two characters from two different kind of times, and they have different ideals and mindsets. They kind of have to work together,
and they grow.
They grow from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I really did. I like the whole cast of this movie. I thought the jokes were pretty much always funny. There was never really a dull moment in this movie, and I just thought it was, there was a lot of parts of this movie where I genuinely was laughing hard, and I don't get that a lot of days now. A lot of comedies just kind of had just these cliche plots, or they really just go on the fact that their actors are in it, so they just use them as caricatures of what they always are. But this movie says no, we're gonna have funny jokes plus funny actors, and it results in a really funny movie.
I'm going to go see the old Shafts because of this movie.
Yeah.
Really nice,
I didn't even know about them until this one came out, but I want to go see the one with Samuel Jackson and then the one before that.
Yeah. I'd probably give this movie an 8 out of 10.
That's exactly what I would do.
That was a solid 8. Solid 8.
Really
finally agree, guys. All right.
Yeah. Woo! I think this is the first review where we all got the same score. Yeah. Really fun, really entertaining, really enjoyable movie.
And you don't need to see the first Shaft. Too.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I just had a great time. I understood everything. And I think, too, that this is one of those movies, I love when movies know what they are. They're never trying to be something else. They're not trying to be either too smart or too dumb. They're just doing what they need to do. This movie was just a lot of fun. It's a really, I highly recommend this movie.
I think real quick, the audience, they knew who they were playing for with the audience. I think that was the thing. And if you actually look at the critic score versus the audience score, it's night and day. Like the audience score, right. The audience score is in the 90s right now.
Wow.
While the critics, I think, is in the 30s.
Critics.
But it makes sense to me, because if you know your audience and you play for that audience, that's who it's for.
They're not over here trying to win an Oscar. I'm sure the critics would say it's a movie like, the movie relies on its stereotypes, or it's it's a basic movie, but you know,
it wasn't made for them.
But I will say I would not have liked this movie if it was not Samuel Jackson. I really think.
Yeah, but that's just good casting.
It was just fantastic for the part.
Yeah, I really think Samuel Jackson was so well made for this movie.
A movie that I would say is on par is Black Dynamite with Michael J. White, and that's one of my favorite movies. I would recommend watching that. It is a very good movie. Very good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so go see this movie. It's really fun. It's retro, but it's also got some new stuff, and it's just a fun movie.
And let us know what you think. Thank you. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.